Hi everyone, my name's Mark Deere, and in this video I want to talk about realism in films versus, I guess, heightened reality or hyper-realism. It's funny because usually film theory is not something I think about a lot, but last night my movie that I watched for the day was called Happy Christmas, and it was a video or movie from 2014. I'm assuming it was an indie film. It was shot on film and it had Anna Kendrick in it, but it was very, it was not a high production value film, but I loved it. I loved every second of it. But it was interesting to me because it was very grounded in reality. Like, realism was at its core. Like, it felt so true to, it was about a couple of new parents and the guy, the husband, his sister, who's younger, moves in with them. I think she's just had a bad breakup and she moves in with them and she's a bit of a mess. And so it's just them with the new baby or not a new baby, I think he's probably 18 months in the movie or something, 2 years old. But they have a baby and her being messy and their priorities have shifted into caring about their baby and not caring about going out anymore. So it's kind of about that. Very little to do with Christmas, so it's funny that it was called Happy Christmas, but I'm so glad I watched it because, one, it was an absolutely stunningly beautiful movie, shot on film, and it wasn't like overlit. Like, I think the DP did an extraordinary job on it. I'm so Mozzie bitten, sorry. A lot of Mozzies. But yeah, it was so beautiful to watch. And watching it, I said to Candy, like, oh my God, I could die happy if I made a film like this, you know, like, it's just so beautiful and so well acted, so true to life. But it's interesting because the kinds of films I've always made, like, it kind of made me think about my own filmmaking, you know, and we mainly talk about film on this channel. So I thought it'd be interesting to just think about, when you're going to make a movie, deciding where on that kind of spectrum you want to land, because there's obviously real, like cinema verite, filming reality documentaries. And then on the other end of the spectrum, there's like hyper real, completely fake, I guess a fully 3D movie, you know, or maybe a movie with live action in 3D, like Ready Player One by Steven Spielberg, maybe, or you could talk about, you know, any movie with all CG, like Avatar, right? Where it's like clearly not real. Though I think it's trying to be grounded in reality too, talking about Avatar. That's an interesting comparison, and I won't go into that because the video would become far too long. But yeah, something obviously, you know, like the Emoji Movie, even though that's animation, so a completely different medium to film. You know what I'm talking about. I'm talking about like something that's very heightened and not grounded in reality. Obviously people still speak and talk and emote and you can relate to humans, but there's a difference between something that's like, that looks like real life and that looks like a movie, right? Or like almost beyond a movie, you know, something like Final Fantasy Spirit Within, though that's animated as well. Anyway, no, not Spirit Within. Yeah, was it Spirit Within? Whatever, the first Final Fantasy movie. So, you know, when I think about the kinds of movies I want to make independently, I feel like what I would do is a bit more removed from true realism. I like the idea of it feeling like a movie. I like heightened reality to help tell a story or help convey. Do you convey the emotion better? I don't know. It's interesting. I guess it depends on the film. What does the story of the film or the theme you're trying to convey require? And that's kind of what would influence that. But I look at a film like Napoleon Dynamite where it's much more heightened reality. Like, and don't get me wrong, there would be people in the world who talk like that, but that many people who talk like that all in the one world. And these days, I guess you could say Napoleon's probably got autism. He's on the spectrum. He has something. But back then, he was just a quirky guy. It was just, everybody in it was just quirky. The way everyone talked was quirky. The people in the town were quirky and interesting. It felt like a real and authentic place, even though the way people talked it didn't feel like reality. It felt like a movie, like movie reality. And the world of it is just so amazing. I just think it's one of the best worlds ever made in a film. But, you know, on the other hand, you have a movie like what we saw last night, this movie Happy Christmas, which only got like a 5 on IMDb, which really surprised me because it's a good film. I think people must have seen that it had a bit lower key lighting and just thought, nah, like too independent, or it's got Christmas in the name, but it's not about Christmas or something. I don't know. But it was a really, really, really good film, like really good film. Definitely worth a watch. And usually I don't like movies that challenge you. I don't particularly like movies that are grounded in reality, that are more realistic than they are movies. I like movies for entertainment. I like being entertained and taught a lesson, right? And I've watched so much trash this year, which I'd put up in this category, not this, you know, like an Adam Sandler movie. That's what I should have said for this area. An Adam Sandler film, you know, like The Wedding Singer. There's scenarios that apply to real human beings, but it's a heightened reality. Nobody thinks like that's how somebody is at that wedding, or that's how the kids talk to each other. It's heightened, it's all perfect and precise. Whereas in this movie, it's just literally like, there was so much dialogue that didn't matter because we didn't hear a few lines at the start. And I said, well, I don't think anything that got said was important. It's just, okay, they're in their house, they're existing like they normally would. It was just grounded absolutely in reality. It's probably closer to the sort of things Jim Jarmusch did. I haven't watched a lot of Jim Jarmusch films, but I think that's what he was kind of famous for, was just putting people in a situation, letting them almost improvise the whole movie. So where do you land? I mean, our movies are probably much more towards this. We made a movie called Coits, Curtis and the Missing TV. It's about a guy whose TV went missing on the day of the National Coits Championships. So for one, who's broadcasting that? I think it was actually recorded, but I don't know if it was live broadcast. But Coits, like where you throw rings on a stick, like, you know, so already the concept was just absurd. But it was a fun movie, and it was meant to be fun. It's a mystery, like someone stole the TV, so they're trying, he's like, all his friends. And it was about friendship. And the lesson in the film is amazing. It's beautiful. It's like, oh, look, do you trust people? Why don't you trust people? Like, is the way you treat people what you get back? Like, there's important lessons in it, but it's more like an Adam Sandler movie in delivering that lesson, you know? Whereas our first feature film called Maryborough ... was about being it's about teenagers, like growing up and not knowing what they're gonna do when they get older. And it was much more down this end. It was much closer to reality. I mean, it was a slightly heightened reality, but if Napoleon Dynamite's here, or like here, and Adam Sandler's Wedding Singer is here, and the Happy Christmas movie last night is here, then it was probably here, you know? And like The Breakfast Club by John Hughes, it's definitely movie world, you know, but it's probably closer to reality, oh, I don't know, than Napoleon Dynamite. Maybe Napoleon Dynamite's further up here and it's here, I don't know. Anyway, when it comes to making a movie, it's interesting, like, where do you want to sit? What do you want your movie to do? And I guess it's like what will best convey the meaning, what will best tell the story of the movie you want to make. But yeah, it's something I think about. And when I see a movie like that, and a movie like that lands with me so well, I think, is this something I should try? And we did earlier in the year try doing a movie completely improvised for the first time ever. And I'll make a whole nother video about that. Me and Candy did it doing Joel Haver's his Oscars challenge. So in 3.5 hours, we tried to make a feature film and it ended up being about a 20-minute film. But first time we ever did it. And is it more grounded in reality? I think it was still a bit more like Napoleon Dynamite, a bit absurd, but I'll have to show you the film. I'll do that in a separate video. If I ever share that video, I'll link it in this description. But that's it for today. That's it for today. What do you think? Do you prefer movies being very real, or do you prefer Adam Sandler movies where it's more heightened Hollywoody reality? What do you think? I can't wait to hear from everyone in the comments. Subscribe if you haven't already. And you can go to my website, markdeary.com, if you want to sign up for my email list, and then you can get updates from me in the future. So great talking to you today, everyone, and I'll see you in the next video.